and we are live from Hazard, Kentucky, KVEX Holler Digital Production Studio, and I am joined today on Thursday, August 22nd by a master teacher, Miss Maudie Justice from East Ridge High School, Pike County Schools, and I've had the great privilege of getting to know her professionally over the last 2 years and work with her teachers, because she's the department chair there at East Ridge High School in special education. But she is one of the most respected, decorated teachers in the state, and have really enjoyed interacting with her professionally, working with her students as we've engaged them in the all-important transition work, motivating, inspiring them to be great today and every day. And along the way, Miss Justice and I have had the opportunity to enjoy recounting some of her success stories of the positive impact she has made in the lives of so many students. She has truly changed the life trajectories of many, many students along the way. So, but before we get to the good part, I want to just pause and hush and ask Miss Justice to share with all of us who she is, where she's from, and just an abridged biography of sorts. Miss Justice, the floor, the stage is all yours.
I was raised for 6 years in Eastern Kentucky, and then my dad got a job in West Virginia, and I went there, and I did most of my elementary and middle school schooling there. I had a first cousin named William that was Down syndrome, and he was my best friend, and I used to ride him on bicycles and all that fun stuff when we were little. And when I started school in the 60s, William wasn't allowed to go to school, and I couldn't figure out why William wasn't allowed to go. And my mother told me one day because he was different, and destroyed me. I think it was the first time I ever seen or knew that somebody was different than me. And as years went by, I married, and I married a wonderful man, and we had a son that was born with spina bifida, and lots and lots of medical issues, if you're aware of that disability.
Yes, ma'am.
And I kept going back to William in my mind, and how he wasn't actually pushed, and he was kind of pushed over to the side, and I wanted to make sure my son had quality life. And so I never gave him an option. He was catheterizing himself by the time he was 3 years old, and I had a lot of people telling me, not to do that kind of thing. And I remember stepping in his first grade classroom with him, and his kindergarten, and the teacher looked at me and told me, she said, I can tell you right now, I can't catheterize him. And I said, you point him in the direction of the bathroom, he'll be just fine. And he'll take care of his own self. So I feel, having a child with a disability and living among the disabilities, I was just called by God to be that voice for these kids and to push them to the brink of the utmost that they can possibly be in life. And I don't like using disabilities as a crutch. That's not something that I teach my students in a classroom, and I tell them that those labels will fade away. When you remove yourself from the classroom, they will fade away, and you'll blend into culture as long as you believe in yourself. So that's I went back to college. My husband was killed in an accident, and I went to college at Pikeville, and I never wavered. It was full special education degree. And then I got my master's in special education, and my whole career has been high school special education this is 32 and a half years now.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that part of your story, which I wasn't aware of. That's very, very powerful and very moving. I can see why it has been your calling. So now you have had this rich, illustrious 30-plus year career, and you've had some amazing success stories. And I just want to take a little bit of time to perhaps talk a little bit in detail, as much as you're comfortable with, about perhaps 2 or 3 of those success stories so that we can share them. Your colleagues around the region have their own success stories, but we have a lot of new teachers, and this is very motivating and inspiring to all of us to hear the reward that you've enjoyed in having such a positive impact on young people. So I know a couple of the stories, so whichever
Well,
ones you want to share.
I guess my all-time favorite is a young man I had while at Bates Creek High School. And we were on a picnic in the breaks one day. And when we came back that evening from the bus, his dad had passed away of a heart attack, and his family was there waiting on him. And wonderful young man. He'd always come in at break and get assistance with math that he didn't understand, and just wanted to be so successful. He never wavered in it from grades 9 through 12. And we had everything in line for him to go to a technical school. He wanted to go into heating and cooling and do that as a profession. His family kind of waited for the father's funeral so that he could graduate, because that was something his dad had already dreamed for his son. And I guess it was probably a couple of weeks into summer break. His mother called me, and she was very much in distress. And she said, "We're here at vocational rehab, and they're telling me we have to have a signed affidavit for they'll help him go on to technical school." I said, "Do what?" she said, "Yeah." I said, "They're telling me somebody has to do a signed affidavit that they think that he can make it through vocational school." And this was, he would be going to Paintsville Mayo School. Mm-hmm. So I said, "Well, you're there now?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "I'll be there in about 15, 20 minutes. Just give me long enough to get down there." So I went in with them, and I said, "Where's his counselor?" And they told me who he was. I said, "I've never heard this before, ever. I've never heard that, a kid had to sign, somebody had to sign that this child could make it." And so I said, "Give me your piece of paper," and I went ahead and signed it. And he graduated number 1 in his class at Mayo without flinching. And this young man he just had so much, and still does to this day. He's still overcoming obstacles. And he went on, and he's been a great success in Tennessee. And he's put air conditioning units in for Dolly Parton at her resort, and cabins, and just constantly at work, and one of the hardest work ethics young man said ever. And I still, to this day, actually probably go down in September and get to see him and his wonderful wife, who's the principal down there. And very much success story, very much. And they pay it forward in every way that they can. So that's my star.
That's a fantastic story. And I remember you sharing that with me. We didn't have time to go into as much detail as you did today, but thank you. That's really inspiring.
Yes.
All right. So do you have another one or two that you would like to share?
Yes, we have started East Ridge, and first day come in, he's like, "I just tell you the truth now, I can't read the lick." And it was kind of that kind of attitude all the way through, 9 through 12. His grandfather instilled strong work ethic in him. He's not going to be freeloading on the system. You're going to get your diploma, and you're going to work for a living. And we did several different types of activities. Like we were working on, I can remember one day we were working on in geometry class, and we said adjacent angles are side by side, 180 of them, make them come alive. And this young man's like, "You're not going to believe this." This after graduation, "You're not going to believe this, but I took an entrance test into Big Sandy, and that question was on that test." And he said, "That popped back in my head." So he began to get more functional reading skills. Maybe not, picking up a literary book or something like that, but he got functional skills. And he was able to get his driver's license, and he was able to land jobs in mines. And we freed him up one whole week, the last part of his senior year, and we let him go and take his mine safety training, get his underground card and his mine surface card, and he passed that with flying colors, and he's very successful in working as a boss in the mining industry right now.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
What a story.
Got 2 beautiful little girls, and he's a wonderful father.
That's terrific. All right, how about one more? Can I talk you into one more story before we put a bow on this?
I just brag on my kids all day, but you know.
Yeah, I know.
Guys, but one young man, actually, I'm not going to say his name, of course, but he started 9th grade here, and the first day his mama was actually sitting in a classroom with him, and he had had his own driver forever and had his own aide, was autistic, but high functioning autism, and he went through his freshman through his junior year, and during the summer of his junior year, he decides he wants his driver's license. And so this is somebody that had their own driver from kindergarten up through 10th grade. So I'm like, okay, you know, so he gets his learner's permit and he brings it in, he shows it to me, and he's, that's good, bub, that's good. So next thing you know, he said, my dad let me drive on Mountain Parkway. I'm like, that's great. And then the next thing, he's come back and I got my driver's license. I don't have to have that aid anymore. I don't have to have that driver to and from school. So his dad goes out and buys him a truck, and he ends up driving himself to and from school and all over the place. Actually, he's enrolled at Big Sandy Technical this semester, and he drove up here the other day to see us, and he works every day on coal trucks right now and loves his job, and he does not believe in free rides. So very independent young man, and fortunately he had a father that saying that, you know, his disability did not define who he was. So he is absolutely a star too, and we just love him.
Oh, I can't thank you enough for sharing those 3 amazing stories. Unbelievable. Very, very moving. And I know that this is our first opportunity to do a Zoom/video, so I'm not going to wear out our welcome, but we'll have to do this again. And thank you.
Private stuff, okay?
We'll talk more, and look forward to working with you again this year, and look forward to seeing you soon. And
we look forward into working with you all. Y'all have been so much. It's not just lip sync with your program, and you're digging in, and the love that you're showing into these children is abundant. And I am so grateful that we finally have some type of resource here for these kids. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm getting emotional now, so I guess it's time to put a bow on this conversation, and we'll see you soon, Miss Justice.
I'll see you soon.
Yes,
okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.